The priests in the temple in Jerusalem were divided to Mishmarot Kohanim, priestly shifts. Each group, Mishmeret, belonged to one family and would go to work and sustain the temple in Jerusalem for a week in each shift. One of these Mishmarot was called Yehoyariv, and among the priests of that family was a priest called Matityahu from the Hashmonai family. In 167 BC, Antiochus IV decides to implement laws against Jewish religious practices in Judea. And if you didn't see the video I made about it, go first to see the background for this one, Hanukkah Part 1. I will put the link in the first comment. Antiochus IV starts to enforce those laws, making sure the Jews stop maintaining their practices and implement Hellenistic pagan traditions instead. The book of Maccabees, that was written shortly after the revolt, tells us that a Seleucid messenger arrives to Modiin, not far from Jerusalem, and asks Matityahu to make a sacrifice to the Greek gods, telling him that he is a respected man here, and if he will do it, everyone will follow. Matityahu's response is that even if all the nations will follow the new laws, he and his family will stick with their ancestors' ways. Then, another man approaches the altar to sacrifice instead of him, and Matityahu, filled with rage, goes up to the altar and kills him on the spot, after which he also kills the king's messenger. Tradition says that after doing this, Matityahu shouts, "Mi la'Adonai Elai," whoever is devoted to God, come with me. A Jewish version of this is Sparta. Then, Matityahu and his family, knowing that they are now a target, run to the Judean mountains, and many start following them. They arrange an army and start executing guerrilla attacks against the Seleucid forces in the region, and this is the beginning of the Hashmonean Revolt. A year later, Matityahu died, and out of his 5 sons, he appointed 3 as the leaders of the revolt after his passing. Yonatan was appointed as a politician that would negotiate with the Seleucid leadership and later would become the prefect of Judea and the high priest under the Seleucids, until they saw him as a threat and executed him. Shimon was appointed as a religious leader and would later become the first Hashmonean king. And then there was Yehuda, the most talented and most known, that was given the responsibility for the army and leading of the revolt. Judah never served in any army before, but from the very beginning his courage and strategic thought and planning were shining and bringing one victory after another. He was given a nickname, Yehuda HaMaccabee, Judah Maccabee. Maccabeet means hammer, so Judah the hammer, or maybe Judah in a hammer. What a man, what a mensch. Judah studied the Greek strategies, weapons and ways of fighting, and understood that in a face-to-face combat, army against army in an open field, he doesn't stand a chance against the much larger and much better equipped Seleucid soldiers, so he found other ways. The first opportunity came shortly after, when Apollonius, the governor of Samaria, marched with his large army towards Jerusalem. On the way, he entered into an ambush prepared by Judah and got completely annihilated. Antiochus sent a larger army, led by Siron, but they were also surprised by an ambush near Beth Horon and got annihilated as well. So this time, an even larger army was sent, led by Georgias. The text tells us that Georgias had 40,000 troops and 7,000 horsemen, while the Jews had only 6,000 soldiers. Judah managed to find out that one of his soldiers acted as a spy for the Seleucids, and while that spy told Judah everything that he knew about where the Seleucid camp is, the Seleucids had no idea that all of this information was exposed. And so, when Gorgias took 5,000 of his men to walk during the night to the camp of Judah, up on the mountains and attack it, Judas took his army on a parallel path down the mountains to the Seleucid camp at Emmaus, while leaving the torches at his own camp still burning, to make the impression that they are still there just sleeping in their tents. When the Seleucid army attacked the camp of Judah and found out that it was actually empty, it was already too late. Judah and his soldiers were already approaching the Seleucid main camp. Before the attack, Judah told his troops, Do not fear their multitudes, nor be alarmed by the greatness of their power. Remember our fathers, whom the Lord saved at the Red Sea, when Pharaoh pursued them with his chariots and horsemen. Now rise up and cry out to the Lord our God, that he may grant us grace and mercy, and remember his covenant which he made with our fathers. May he destroy this entire army before our eyes, so that all the nations shall know that the Lord is God, who redeemed his people Israel from all their troubles. The attack was sudden and swift. The book of Maccabees tells us that 9,000 Seleucian soldiers were killed. The camp was burnt, and that when Georgias saw from the mountains what happened, he fled without a fight. This victory devastated the Seleucian control over Judea, and shortly after, Jerusalem was taken by Judah as well. Judah went to the temple, purified it from all the pagan symbols that were there, and reinstalled the sacrifices on the altar and the worship that including lighting the menorah with the finest first-press olive oil that miraculously lasted for 8 days. It was then when Judah and his people decided to celebrate a new holiday, Hanukkah, meaning dedication, to celebrate the rededication of the temple for 8 days. This wasn't at all the end of the revolt. Battles continued, and 2 years later, a huge Seleucian army led by Lysius defeated the army of Judah and regained control over most of Judea. In that battle, Judah's brother Eleazar was killed when a war elephant stepped on him. Not fun. At that point, when the Seleucians regained control over most of the region, Antiochus IV was already dead, and it was understood that the laws preventing the Jews from religious freedom was a huge diplomatic mistake that turned almost all the Jews in Judea against the empire. So Lysius and Antiochus V allowed for religious freedom and Jewish half-autonomy under the Seleucians in Judea. But the battles continued, and in 160 BC, a Seleucian army led by Bakchides invaded once again to take control over Jerusalem, and in a battle near today's Ramallah, Judah was killed. The book of Maccabees says, "And all of Israel mourned for him and wept with great lamentation, and they grieved for many days, saying, 'How has the mighty fallen, the great deliverer of Israel?' And the rest of the acts of Judah, his battles, his heroic deeds, and his greatness were not written, and they were very many." In the 7 years from the beginning of the revolt and until his death, Judah became a symbol of bravery, courage, sophistication in battle, and religious devotion. It is no wonder that in the Middle Ages, Judah was one of the neuf brucs, forgive my French, the 9 honorable figures that sets an example for the knight ideals. King David and Joshua are also on that list. The name Maccabee was given to some of the most important organizations in the country, in sports, medicine, and every 4 years there is a Jewish Olympics, so to say, called the Maccabeah. After Judah's death, it took another 20 years before the Hashmonean family finally controlled all of Judea and gained independence. The Hashmonean family ruled the kingdom for 77 years, until the queen Shlomtzion died, and 2 of her children, Hyrcanus and Aristobulus, fought one another for the throne. An inside struggle that invited another empire to come and conquer the land of Israel, the Roman Empire, which would control this land for more than 700 years. The Hashmonean kingdom was the last time the Jews had an independent kingdom of the land of their own in the land of Israel and not under a large empire until the establishment of Israel in 1948. In the next video, Hanukkah Part 3, I will go into the menorah, the oil and the donuts. Do follow up for more. I am Itai. Share your thoughts and comments below, and I will see you in the next video. Have a beautiful day.